Sure. Do you want to type or do you prefer spoken?
Yeah, I think it's going to be easier and faster if I just didn't want to, disturb the others. Criteria when it comes to adaptability. Am I supposed to judge if, for example, to evaluate if the material can be adapted or how adapted it already is? I'm sorry, I don't know if you understood what I meant.
I've understood. Let me move
Let me
down
have a
to
look.
the adaptability. Adaptability here. So
Yes.
yes, the plant, the materials. Is it easy to adapt because we are evaluating the plan? So, is it easy to adapt? And again, the other factor as well, that how much did she adapt according to the situation, the trainer? So both situations, because plan is one thing and planning is everything. When we start a session or a lesson and we plan things according to plan A, but things don't work out, we immediately switch to plan B or C. We do that, all of us. So maybe she should have done that. Maybe she had room for this. Did her plan allow this, or was there no room for adaptability? So we have to check that.
Okay, thank you.
I hope that answers the question.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's only stage 2, right? At this moment.
Yes, we just read the evaluate the plan and fill in the table. That's it for now.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, everyone, it's 5:40, the time's up. 8:40 or 9:40 your time, I guess. So time's up. And we'll put you in breakout rooms now. You'll have 20 minutes in total. First 10 minutes for discussing the table that we just made notes in. So discuss, does it meet the criteria or not? And, the reasons why. And the next 10 minutes for actually, how to improve those areas. So how to make changes, how to make it a better plan. And we'll do this in your own groups in the breakout rooms. So Maho, if you could please.
They're done.
In the rooms, thank you. Enjoy.
And Rabia, it's 20 minutes.
This is us.
Wonderful.
No.
Yes.
So, what did you think, ladies?
Okay.
Ah?
Should we go following the table and then we discuss?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. I
Okay,
think so.
Okay, so in my opinion, level of challenge, it met the criteria.
Yeah.
I think some of them, like the first one, for example, the first activity is less challenging, but then the other ones were like in the middle of being challenged. I believe the trainer
Yeah.
gave good suggestions. Some of students
Yeah.
all students can do. Maybe some of them don't complete the activity, but they can at least start doing it. So I think yes. It
Okay.
matters.
What about you, Claudia? What do you think?
I didn't think it met because I was considering the training is for a mixed group of teachers with
Yeah.
varied experiences, and they are teaching high teenagers, older teenagers, like from 16 to 18 years old. So I thought the level of challenge, both to the teachers and furthermore to the students, is too weak.
Yeah.
I thought
So,
the activities would be too easy for all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I had mixed feelings about this one. First, I thought maybe it didn't meet the level of challenge, but then I thought maybe it did, because I think the purpose of the session was to show different ways of presenting vocabulary, different ideas, techniques. Some of them, the more inexperienced teachers might not know, so that would be interesting. But yeah, I think so. I
What
ended
about
up
the
saying yes,
senior
it met.
teachers?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
So I agree with you, Andrea. I have mixed feelings. I think this example
Yeah.
for example, is really easy, but there are
Yeah.
some students that they don't know English then. So I think it's good, but the 2 and 3, it's mixed. It can be used to high level students or not really high level. As I was imagining that the first parts of the example 2 and 3, everybody can do it. Like big normals,
Yeah.
they can do that. And then maybe they don't finish, but they do it.
yeah.
I had this
And
feeling
maybe
about
not
that.
so many teachers do it, right? Even though they may have seen it, they might not
Exactly.
use it. Okay.
Exactly
So
that.
how about we move on to the next one so we
Yes.
can make it. So what do you
Yes.
think, ladies? Easy to follow?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agree.
So I think everybody agrees, right? It's easy to
Yes.
follow because I think it was very trainer-centered, So basically, this is how we present vocabulary. Here are some models. And then, take a look and then, so what can you add anything else? So that's why it's easy to follow.
I also I
Yeah.
believe I agree, Andrea. I also think that the sequence is very clear. So
Yeah.
critically analyze and then do something else and then have the handout and then go. Easy to follow. I found that.
Yeah. Do you agree, Claudia? Yeah.
It's easy to follow because it's
Yeah.
shallow.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
completely trainer centered.
Yes.
We are jumping already to the last criteria, opportunity
Yes.
for student pair work.
Yeah, which was not met.
Never.
That's what I think anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
meant.
so
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think all in all, it was really weak
Yeah.
and shallow, and then yes, it's easy to follow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And since we're talking about that, I think it was not motivating for participants because it
Not
was
at all.
centered on the trainer. So, and there was not a lot of variety. So for me,
No
those two things
variety.
were not met as well, because again, it was just, how to present vocabulary. Here are some examples and add anything else, right? I don't know if you
And
agree. Yeah.
I don't want to be like a burden, but there's a point there that they mention. Okay, these are activities to teach vocabulary, but do they?
Yeah. Yeah. Right?
Mhm.
I
Now
love
that's an
Maho's
important
faces.
question.
I
Yeah.
love
Sorry.
it.
Because I just yeah, I can't get away from the conversation. It's-
Ah,
But it's like, okay, imagine, guys,
Yeah.
we are at a training. I don't know, but when I am in a training, I want to learn. I don't
Yeah.
want to revise or to see more of the same. If it's not motivating for me, how am I going to motivate my students? And they are 16, 17, 18-year-olds.
True.
And sorry. And furthermore, why am I training something that's not valid?
Yeah. But so let me ask you and Jerusa, do you think this could be easily adapted? Because I think so. I think, if the trainer had made it more hands-on, more interactive, they could have adapted. But maybe the materials could not be adapted because they printed the handouts, right? The slides were ready. So I don't know what you think about adaptability.
I tell you
Go,
what.
Jerusa.
I tell you what, I
Yeah.
was thinking about adaptability. I was thinking about the materials being adapted to students. That's why I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
I was thinking about, and I said, yes, the teachers can, I put here, yes, the teacher can adapt the ideas by changing the vocabulary set, adapting to students' interests, levels, and choose activities which suits better for them. I was thinking about the material for students.
For the students, yeah.
Yeah, but I agree
Interesting.
with you guys. If adapted the workshop, I would change everything. Yes.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about the material to students. I think, yes,
Yeah.
I was thinking, I think I'm using the material to my students. I'm adapting it. I think I just look at the different way. Just that.
Great. What about
Yeah.
you, Claudia? Do you think it's easy to adapt or?
Yeah, I would really redo everything. I would not adapt. I would start from scratch. But yes, because it's simple, it can be adapted. Yep.
Yeah. And I think we covered motivation and variety, right? So
Mhm.
not Matt, because it's very trainer centered. But what about instructions? I don't know. For me, there were basically no instructions, Basically, it was a very descriptive training session.
listen
Just
to me.
explaining. Yeah, just listen to me. So I'm not sure we
Boring to the
can
core.
assess that, right? What do you think?
I agree with you. The
Yeah.
instructions were basically be quiet and listen to me.
Or
That's
there
it.
was one which was, can you think of any?
Yeah, shout. Like,
shout some
At the
out,
end
yeah.
of the thing, you there, shout
Yeah.
something. Just to
And
say
can
that
you
you have said
guess?
something.
Yeah, I think the last one there. So basically, there were two instructions. Can you guess what you can do with this? So there
A
was
piece of paper.
yeah, which was too small, I thought.
I'm gonna make a ball and throw at the trainer.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Me
Maho,
too.
sorry.
Me too. I don't understand
Yeah.
slide 5. I'm sorry, I still don't get it. What do I
Yeah.
do with this?
I can tear it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Is that vocabulary related to a piece of paper? I
Yeah.
can make an origami. I
No,
can
I
make a
can't.
ball. What is that? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Change
So
the
I
trade.
guess not met, clarity of instructions, or maybe met because they were so simple and
Matt.
there weren't many, so it was met, but that's not a good thing in this case anyway. Right? I don't know. What do you think, Jerusa? Yeah?
Actually, I put math because I found that very simple, you know.
Yeah.
And but I agree with you, thinking, looking at your point of view, I believe that's also valid. You know, I was actually, I had mixed feeling. I have mixed feelings now because I
Yeah.
put math because they're very simple, and there was one demonstration here, even though not good, not successful. It
Yeah.
was a demonstration, you know, of doing something. So I don't know. I put math just because of that.
Yeah, me too.
But
And that was the same rationale for organization and sequencing. You know, just like you said before, it's so simple and trainer centered that it's easy to follow, you know, and the sequence, it's, I don't know, there's no challenge there, right? So for me, it was match, but it doesn't mean it's a good way to do the training session, right? I don't
Oh,
know if you
yes.
agree, Claudia.
Yes.
For me, it's like Back to the Future episode 2, when they go back in time to the West.
Yeah.
Sorry, Maho.
I hope
But
somebody's taking notes of Claudia's quotes today, you know, because
I'm
we have
recording
to
them because I'm
Yeah,
here.
no.
It's recording, so
we have to launch a book.
I'm gonna create memes as a summary.
yeah,
Perfect.
it's true, guys, because it's like you could have been born in the 1800s and watch this
Yeah.
training. It
Yeah.
would fit. And you could be
Exactly.
in 2023 and watch this training. It fits. It's the same.
Yeah. So I guess, you know, different learning preferences not matched then, because
Not at all.
yeah, that's what I selected
No
here.
math. Yeah,
Yeah, so not
for me
matched.
as well. For me as well.
So I think we are on the same page almost. And the last one also not matched because basically there was no group and pair work, right?
Yeah.
Just the shouting part.
Yeah,
Oh, and
but
where's
that was
the
like the whole
organization
group
there?
and the trainer. Yeah, so it was not even collaborative. It was just
No.
everyone shouting out individually, right?
Yes. Just the
Yeah.
whole group. Yes.
Okay, so now I think we can move on to the next part. So what would we change to improve the workshop?
The trainer?
A lot of ideas. The trainer,
We can't
yes.
change the trainer.
Can we do that?
No, the trainer, we can't.
Yeah.
That would solve our problems. Maho would say, yes, let's call it a day because we're changing the trainer. Let's call it a day, finish,
Yeah.
group dismissed. Yeah, but not
Perfect.
really,
Yeah.
not really an option. I would say, I put here, first of all, don't read from slides.
Yeah.
Conduct the workshop like a conversation, like Rabia was telling us, me and you guys, about the monitoring activity. Remember, we were just asking questions, answering questions, and then I said, no,
Yeah.
do it this like a conversation. I remember that, and I said, like, yeah, would be nice to have the
Yeah.
trainer talking and then eliciting things from us as well. It was
Great.
my first idea.
And you know what, Jerusa, just because you mentioned that, I was wondering if those slides actually, you know, the text we saw in those slides was written there. Imagine if they were presenting that with all the text
They were.
in the slides. That would be.
They were actually.
Yeah, they were.
That's
He
the
was
slide.
reading.
That's the problem.
He was
So
reading
that's
from
the
the
slide,
slide.
right?
Yeah.
So that
was
was not, you know, that's the thing. That would be
was
too
his slide.
polluted, I guess, you
Yes,
know, too much text.
yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree.
I put here slides with bullet points and visuals just to use as a guide for the trainer.
I agree. Yeah. Anything else? What about you, Claudia? Anything to add?
I thought that we would perhaps give tips according to the criteria, but I see we are doing everything globally. So
Yeah.
I'm writing here. Use the
Great.
slides just as a reference.
Perfect.
Beginning from there. It's like,
Yeah.
please God, don't read the slides. Everybody can read them.
Yeah.
Use bullet points and make them appealing. I mean, if there have to be slides, if slides are mandatory, make them beautiful or
Perfect.
something.
Yes. And you know
Yes.
what I thought that I think could solve a lot of problems, you know? For example, opportunities for group work, variety, motivation. I think everything could be solved if it was more learner or trainee centered, you know? So instead of reading from the slides, asking questions, eliciting from them, having them think, pair, share. So maybe start with a question like, what are the difficulties you have when you teach vocabulary? And then they can get together in pairs and write a list and share. Because then there would be variety. They would be much more motivated instead of just listening. And I think, again, we would solve a lot of problems. I don't know if you agree with that, but that's what came to
Absolutely.
me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
And
Yes,
Yep.
Claudia.
Go ahead.
Yes, Claudia, go ahead.
I think that if he changed the approach to learner-centered, he
Yeah.
would build rapport, because there's
Yeah.
none. There's none. The way it is, he's speaking or she's speaking, I don't know, whoever, and participants are listening and they're not asked of anything. Their experience, and it's a mixed group. So
Yeah.
for the beginners, what are your major doubts? For the seniors,
Exactly.
how have you treated those? So building a rapport here would be helpful, I believe, because there's none.
Yeah, I agree. And this is always incredibly essential, you know, in every training session. I think a lot of people overlook that. They say, hey, we don't have time, so let's jump in, right? And then start teaching the content. But it's so important to get everybody on the same page and for them to actually like you, you know, otherwise they will not listen to you probably. So I agree, definitely. Anything
And
else
at
you would
the end,
include? Yeah,
and then at the
go
end,
ahead,
I
Claudia.
give you a handout and you take it
Yeah.
home because it's done.
Right?
Remember the
Yes.
other case?
Yeah. And,
No,
and this is something we should do as well, address, you know, the handout was too small. I think they didn't even have time to discuss that, you know, to look at each other's contributions, right? So we could do that. It was not inclusive. If there was anybody with some kind of visual impairment, maybe they wouldn't be able to read the handout, right?
No, the way it was, there was no worry about inclusion at all.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we don't see, for instance, at the moment he says, he or she, shout. What if someone has a hearing impairment? How are they going to shout? So they will not participate. Now, if there's someone with a sight impairment, how are they going to see things? Because they're not doing anything really.
Yeah. Great. So anything else you would add, ladies?
I actually was very specific with some stuff here. I think I was in the wrong way then, not to get some general, because I was very specific with things here, like adding listening activities or adding kinesthetic activities, at least one. You know, I put here like mingle is like 1 and 2, ask questions. As some of us has a syllabus or course book to follow, how can we make teaching vocabulary relevant? Tell the person next to you. I did that. I mean, to start the
I
thing.
love those ideas. You know, something you mentioned now, I was thinking about emergent language, you know, because they talk about how the syllabus can be rigid, and you have to stick to the syllabus. What about they are 16, 17, 18-year-old students. They are curious about a lot of things. So what if they ask questions and then you don't answer because it's not on the syllabus, you know?
Yes.
So that's something that needs to be addressed, right?
Yes, yes. I
And
was changing some things here, like divided, like the first, he gives the 4 ideas of activities. I put here for the first
Yeah.
part, to divide the audience in 4 groups and give each group 1 activity to analyze and answer these questions. Is this kind of activity helpful to learn vocabulary? Why?
Yeah.
Would you like to use it? How can you adapt it for your reality? And then get together and
Exactly.
discuss that. I think
Perfect.
I was a little bit specific.
I thought about that as well. I don't know if you did too, Claudia.
no, I was thinking, for instance, because it is vocabulary, and the students that are going to be taught are 16 to 18, they could use the participants and then the students as the vocabulary resources.
Yeah.
Because they know a lot, but they know, probably, at least from the teams I work with, they know more specific areas. So if it's something
Yeah.
related to sports, in a class of 30, you surely have 10 students who know everything about sports. So they
True.
could be the resources. If
Yeah.
they're talking about technology, you have 20 or maybe the 30 who know
Yeah.
everything regarding
All of them,
technology.
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe you have
Use
all of
the
them.
students as resources and they share their knowledge.
Excellent. Wonderful. I think we had a lot of great ideas for, this workshop, right? I suspect our time is up.
No, you
Our
have
20
8 more
minutes.
minutes. You have 8 more minutes.
Oh, we have 8.
You had
Oh,
20
okay,
to
I thought-
discuss, and you discussed it in like 12, 13. So yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so let me tell you another idea I had, and then you tell me what you think.
You are
Because
taking notes,
so-
right? Sorry, you are taking notes of this.
Yes,
Good.
I am. I don't know if you are, ladies. Yes?
Yes.
Good, good.
Okay,
Yes. Yes.
good. I think this is probably in line with what Jerusa said. There are a lot of examples of how to present vocabulary, and I thought that this would be a great opportunity for them to work in groups, So maybe divide the group into smaller groups, and then each one can work with a different activity. And then just like Jerusa said, discuss the advantages, disadvantages, and then present maybe to the whole group, right? So that everybody can learn from each other. So this would be an interesting activity, I guess. So what do you think?
Yes. Yes. This idea, I think it's great when you put advantages and disadvantages. Simpler.
Yeah.
And that also everybody will know what to do. And also presenting, of course, it will generate this big discussion. I think it's nice,
Yeah.
more interactive than just listening. I like listening, as I said, but I think this
Yeah.
idea is better.
Would you, still talking about that, would you make a point of grouping together more experienced teachers with the less experienced ones so they could benefit from exchanging or not? So what do you think, Claudia?
That's an excellent question, because in presential trainings that I have been, it's always an issue.
Yeah.
Beginners feel somehow patronized, and seniors can have a very arrogant attitude because they think they are know-it-alls. So, but I still believe that the best grouping is from different levels, because everyone can learn something. But to do that, before grouping them, the trainer must build an excellent rapport and talk to them and induce them to think that no matter the other one, they will learn, they will benefit.
Yeah.
If that's done prior to the grouping, it will be like a very positive and memorable activity for all of them. But if you just
Yeah.
group them together with no making out before, it will be a complete disaster.
I agree. I tend to do that if I can, so that we have a fresh perspective, and then we have a more experienced teacher, you know, sharing what they know. But like you said, sometimes, yeah, senior teachers might feel like, oh, I don't want to work with someone who doesn't know as much, right? So this could be complicated. Yeah. So what else? What about, you know, we mentioned clarity of instructions met, but there weren't many instructions. So would you add more tasks and make sure that the teacher or the trainer sticks to the instructions? Yeah. Makes them
I don't
clear,
know.
short, and everything. Yeah.
I don't know because we don't know how much time they have.
Yeah.
How long is the training going to be? So I wouldn't add so much. I would just vary them.
Great. And that requires changing the instructions, right, Claudia? You know, instead of just look at this and how about get together in pairs, discuss, and then share with someone else, right? What about you, Chiruza? What would you add to that? Or I don't know if you want to talk about anything else.
Yeah, I was looking around here, my things I took some notes, and then I put like, because there was no variation for the workshop and regarding the ideas the trainer was giving to the teachers. So always the same thing. And I was thinking about that. I put here, give teachers ideas to use pairing group work to teach vocabulary as well. Because it was like the same thing. And then he was giving ideas and analyzing ideas, and just the second part was actually working with things. So I would
Yeah.
say that give teachers ideas how to use these materials in pair and group work.
And we
as
need
well.
to
Yeah.
start ending. Okay.
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 All right.
And
And,
the other thing,
and
yes.
yeah. No, just one thing came to mind. We have 1 minute. There was an activity with German, you know, so it was German. And I
Yeah.
think this works really well, especially when you're
Yes.
modeling, demonstrating. So it would be nice if one of the teachers knew another language and could actually present vocabulary in that language so that everybody could feel like students and see how it goes, right?
That's
I
it.
think that
And
works really well. Yeah.
I totally agree. And then I put here experience the activities, like you're saying.
Yeah,
Feel as a
exactly.
student. Yes. Yes.
I think that's the
Cool.
most effective type of training, right? That you
Mhm.
feel like students and you go, oh, that's what I can do with my students. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because you experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, ladies, that's it. 10 seconds. Thank you very much.
Cool. See you.
Thank you.
See you.
We're coming back, coming back.
Yes.
I will be summarizing with Claudia's quotes.
Yes.
But the whole week, those quotes are gold.
They are.
We
Claudia,
need a,
you are amazing. We
need a
love your
Claudia book.
quotes.
Claudia's quotes are always the best.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the groups will start the presentation. Which group wants to go first?
Okay, let us go. So we ended up fast.
Okay, so my group is going first, and then Maho's group would go next. So while you're listening to one group's presentation, make notes of any comments that you might want to make later on, or any questions you might have. So after the presentation, there'll be a short question and answer session, and you can ask each other questions and maybe give constructive comments. So over to you people, we're just in the background. Best of luck.
So may I go? All right. So in the stage 2 instructions, we consider the level of challenge. It what we considered math, because we thought that the teachers, most teachers with with little experience, 1 year, 2 years, and based on what we discussed, there's a high number of teachers that believe that vocabulary is that just put it there out of reason, with no reason at all, just put it there as a list of things that are explained, like a dictionary, and without any good reason for this. Although we also believe that teachers with little experience, like 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they may know something about how to teach that. But we got to a consensus that it's math because of lack of experience from teachers. Okay. In our second criteria, easy to follow. Also, we decided for math. We agreed that was math because the instructions, what participants have to do, it's there, it's neat. So we know exactly what they're going to do. And I want to clarify that we are not considering if it will be successful. This is not the case. We are talking about like what they have to do. They have to do this, this, and that. So it's there. We know and we can follow easily. So everybody agreed that was math. In terms of adaptability, to break the sequence, it's not math. We also agreed that what they have to do is to be followed exactly like that, strictly like that. It doesn't seem to have any worries relating inclusions. And if there is something going wrong, there's no plan B to cover that. So we discussed and we felt that doesn't have a plan B for that. It's that or nothing at all. So this is our first 3 criteria. Ale, it's all yours.
Is okay. I will talk about motivation for participants. In slide, we put doesn't meet. Besides of we can see in slide 5, some the trainer is considered learning fun. We can't see any kind of engaging the participants to have a fun activity. This is the reason that we select doesn't meet. Variety, we agreed to meet because we can see several kinds of techniques to present vocabularies, learning vocabularies, teaching vocabularies, besides of not using any kind of technological tools. It could be a good improvement, but we consider varied that meet. The last 3 criteria for that I need to discuss: clarity of instructions. We agreed that meet. Besides of a lot of information there, the information is clear, step by step how to do it. We can see a lot of information. This is the reason that we put the information is clear. That's it.
Okay, so now for me, we go for organization and sequencing. This was really good debate here because some of us saw a met. I saw referred, which was Bruno's idea. Should maybe get it referred. And well, I just wrote, we were talking, and what we discussed was like, there is a sequence, like there is an introduction, some theory, then the presentation of the activities, not necessarily the best one, but you know, there was no warmer, there was no icebreaker, and I don't know if there is something missing, but from here, it ends so abruptly. You know, there is just like, boom, that's it, over. So that's why we thought then like, no, it will be referred. Different learning preferences catered for, definitely no, refer to. Very teacher-centered, very passive learning. Visual, but again, no, not so many visual aids, nothing so attractive. So different learning preferences, like no peer learning, if you like to learn from your peers, or if you like to learn by doing. And opportunities for group and pair work? No, never, nothing. All the activities have to be done individually, no collaboration, no sharing, no exchanging, nothing like that. I don't know if we are supposed to talk about stage 3 right now, Majo, Rabia, or?
Yes, we are. We'll discuss stage 3 too. So specific areas, suggestions for improvement.
Okay. Bruno, Ali, would you like to help me out here?
Yeah, in terms of some improvements, I took notes here that we were talking about, that the trainer doesn't seem to understand what the trainee's reality is. So it seems that he doesn't have a clue to whom he's teaching those techniques. So the teachers may be there, but there is no communication between the workshop, the teacher's reality, and the applicability of that. So this is something that the trainer should work on, like how to make my workshop relevant to my audience. So either this trainer is unexperienced or he is taken for granted.
Okay.
Yes, it's a code presentation. The trainer doesn't understand the preferences and the needs participants, to engage them and to use their contribution to the presentation, and to use their context to build a more engaging presentation also. Doesn't demonstrate anything, how to do it, any warm-up activity at the beginning, any kind of group or pair work, and no space for questions. So it's totally teacher-centered. This is my notes here.
Yeah, we also talked about, like Alessandra said, start with a warmer, set time for each activity. There is no time allotted. If he really or she really insists on using PowerPoint slides, write only notes on the slides, not the whole, because if I understood well, what was written there was everything. He was reading sentence by sentence, and every single word was written on the slide. So, and at least ask participants to read the slides, again, have group or pair work. Each group or pair could demonstrate how to work with each of the 4 activities at the beginning, and also for the follow-up activities. So what would you do with that? Alessandra said, use a technological tool to interact with participants. And I even thought about something, end with a settler. But in the end, they were already settled down. There was no warm-up. There was no energy, so they were already settled down. But end with any activity, a wrap-up activity at least, not so abruptly like that. Well, that's all, folks.
And the visual aid, any visual aid also.
Get some visual aids. Good. Thank you.
That's it. That's all, folks.
That's all, folks.
Any questions?
Please.
I think we can ask questions now. Yeah, comments, and yeah. If that's okay, I just, I think you did a great job. Actually, we can see a lot of overlaps with what we discussed, so I think we're all on the same page. I was just wondering about one thing that I think Alexandra mentioned about variety, right? Because I think we, and the ladies can help me here. We considered it not met because even though, there were different types of activities, like it was basically just, some ideas to present language in different ways, but there was no different patterns of interaction or no hands-on activity. So it was pretty much the same thing. So I was just wondering, do you think it could be more varied in a more dynamic way, perhaps? So it could be, I don't know, more interactive for everyone. Yeah, Bruno.
Yeah, when we discussed about variety, we were considering about the techniques presented. That he presented at least 4 techniques, and there's a call to action. Maybe something else would come up. So we consider this variety on the case of the criteria. And I totally agree with you in terms of interactions, that in terms, if it was variety related interactions, that would be a not met, capital letter, easy. But in terms of techniques presented, we consider that has a variety there, and was kind of that.
Yeah, great, Bruno. I don't know if my group wants to say anything, but I realize now that sometimes we focused on different things when we were looking at the criteria, So, and that became clear when we were talking, because I was thinking of one thing and then Claudia was thinking of something else. And so thank you very much for explaining.
I like the way you mentioned technological tools to use during the workshop. I found that very interesting. I kept thinking about which tools the trainee could use there to make it more engaging, things like that. And I like the way you talked about there was no warm up or settle down activities, that things and started abruptly as well. I was not really considering that, and now I am, because you said that. So I just took notes here. Thank you very much. I found that very interesting, the way you saw the things, your suggestions.
Something that our group perceived, and you perceived as well, it was like you said about engagement, and we talked about building rapport. There was no preoccupation whatsoever to build any kind of rapport with the participants. Like the trainer didn't care for them. He could have, like, I don't know, 3 participants or 30. It would be the same. He was not paying attention. And something prior to that always makes me worry is the question of inclusion. There was no inclusion in any part. So when he goes to the end and there is the make-believe activity of participation, when he says, shout, like everybody at the same time, what's that? What does that mean? I mean, it's like a soccer game in, I don't know where, in Morumbi, everybody shouting at the same time. What does that mean for a training? What does that bring? And I was thinking, if there is like one hearing impaired participant, how is he going to shout? I mean, why to include that? So that's why I call it a make-believe activity. The participants might think they are participating, but they're not. It's just a noise production, meaningless.
This is sorry. This is the reason that we put here a code presentation. It's totally code presentation.
Yeah, it could be Elsa from Frozen singing up there, let it go, let it go. It would be the same.
Yeah, This is totally else. It's not Hakuna Matata. It's completely else. So, when you mentioned about inclusion, Claudia, I recalled recently I was just shortly, so it's not taking long. I was teaching daily activities to my 5th grade in terms of teaching them vocabulary and so on through images using PowerPoint presentations. And through that, like building more vocabulary using the spider technique, like for example, play soccer and they listed other sports like play volleyball, play basketball, play baseball, and so on. And as I teach in a poor community, my students, they are essentially poor people, many of them Black people. So I had the caution, I had the care to try to find images that communicate with them. So when I put like play sports, I try to find images of kids playing sports in a square in a neighborhood like theirs. You know, like watching TV. So like watching a program that they like to watch, or like a series that I listen to them, making this comments at school, like listening to music. They like funk, they like rap, they like hip hop. So putting these things on image so that I could communicate with them. I tried, I had the care to do this in order to communicate with them during the classes. So, okay, guys, so here, playing soccer, and then a bunch of kids playing the square, using flip-flops as goalkeepers and these things, like when we were kids used to do that. So they could see themselves in the activity. So that's why I agree with you. That's totally Elsa in this case. So there's no communication. So just bring up this as an example. It's that.
Any other
Well,
questions?
I think that's it from us, you know. But well done. I think we really enjoyed your presentation. We learned a couple of things, as Jerusa mentioned, right? So
Yes.
excellent, and we can add to our own notes now.
Thank you very much. And I guess my my group members would agree that you were great at giving feedback, aren't they? Very constructive feedback. Congratulations. Thank you.
An amazing interaction also.
That's it.
Okay, let's quickly move on to group 2 now. And let's focus on the things which were not discussed or which are different so that we can save time. And if we've discussed most of the things, let's quickly move on to suggestions for improvement. That would help us, you know, keep a track of time. So thank you very much. Over to you guys.
Perfect. Okay, so if my group agrees, I'll try to summarize our suggestions, and then each one of them can give examples, because I think a lot of what you discussed is actually similar to what we discussed in our groups. And I think the 3 main pillars of, you know, our suggestions would be the layout of the presentation has to change, because it was very text polluted, you know, too much text, a lot of slides. Also, we would probably change the focus to more learner-centered, you know, approach, because it was very trainer-centered, so there was no opportunity for interaction group work. And I think that at the end, we agreed that maybe we could actually use the participants to demonstrate sort of a micro teaching moment of how they would teach specific vocabulary using different techniques. And I think basically that's how we would improve the session. So ladies, can you give more specific examples?
Yes, we were talking about like instead of just giving activities and make it the teachers analyze them, like that this trainer was doing this, he was giving, analyzing, and then we talked about making them experience the activities, actually doing the activities, participating, discussing, and then feeling like students, they would have the sense of what that means, what they have it on their hands. We were saying that also start the activity, the workshop with questions, with group work, like having the activities, giving the activities for the groups, 4 groups, and then having them analyze the André said advantages and disadvantages of that activity, and then presenting them. Do think it's more hands-on. We were discussing that.
I was
And yes,
I
Claudia,
was
please.
checking here. We were together. We were exactly on the same page in 6 of the 9 criteria. We had the same answers. So although we were, again, in different rooms, we are all thinking very alike. Easy to follow, motivating, variety, clarity of instructions, different learning preferences, and opportunity for group and pair work. We have the same answers. We just differed on level of challenge, adaptability, and organization. We thought, I didn't, but I agreed with the group that the level of challenge was met. I myself didn't think, because I thought that the training itself was too shallow, too easy. The adaptability, we thought it was met because everything was so easy that they could be adapted and then changed or enhanced. But after watching yours, I have like mixed feelings and lots of doubts, because when I heard your group saying it's a recipe, I understood like that. It's a recipe. If you change one of the steps, the cake is going to be raw at the end. Like, so we cannot really change it. So I have mixed feelings now. And the organization and sequencing, we thought it was met because it was so easy, you know, but then again, we go back to the recipe. It was organized because there was nothing we could change. It was one step after the other, after the other, after the other. It was so, how can I say, poor.
Yeah.
It was a
It doesn't
poor.
mean it was successful, right, Claudia? That's what we discussed. Even though
Yep.
some things were met, it doesn't mean that the training session was effective, you know,
No,
because
and
yeah.
only now it has occurred to me that imagine the trainers feeling after the session, if his coordinator or somebody asks him or her, how was it? He's going to say it was perfect. Everything went well. But then truly, nobody learned anything. It was boring. It was demotivating. They would take nothing out. It's terrible.
Yes, and I think, and Jerusa can back me up here, I think the whole point of making it more learner-centered was to tackle a lot of problems at once, you know, because it would become more motivating, it would add more variety, right? We would address the problem with groupings, you know, working in groups. And I think that would probably make everything or almost everything much better. Right, Jerusa?
Absolutely. And if the training was like that, we were discussing the teachers would have a good model to reproduce in their classrooms as well. They didn't have a good model to reproduce. It was the model of very traditional model, even though the teacher sometimes asked them for participation, but it was not really a good model for teachers. So because the teachers even didn't receive a good ideas to use in their classrooms. We were discussing that as well. They received the same ideas like this, just group work, just the whole group, no pair work, no ideas at all. So it was a good model, a bad model as a whole for teachers.
And one thing that came to mind now, and I think that's basically how we can wrap up, unless my group wants to add anything. One of the models actually showed a different language, right? So you had German there. And I think it would have been a very interesting idea to have someone present an activity using a different language to the other groups, so that, like Jerusa said, they could feel like students again, right? And I think, and we ended up our discussion mentioning that that's probably the best type of training you can get, you know, when you feel like the students, and then you can take that and basically transfer to your teaching just like that. The next day you teach, you can do exactly what was done to you because you felt in your bones, you know, what it was like to be in their place, right? So why not use a different language? Maybe somebody spoke a different language, they could have used that, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that's it, right, group? Unless you want to add
Yes.
anything.
No, I think it's fine.
Okay, any questions or something for the group?
May I? I
Yes,
really
please,
enjoy.
go ahead.
I really enjoy what Jerusa says about hands-on activities. It's so important to engage the participants to do the activity. And it's for me, from my perspective, when we do something, it's more integrated and we understand much better, and we can learn the concept, the technique, the tool, hands-on activities. I really enjoy. We didn't put this point in our presentation, but definitely it is so. Thank you so much for your contribution also, Jerusa.
I just wanted to say it was really great to watch you rediscussing everything, you know. So I was wondering how productive your original discussion was. There were lots of things that called my attention, but something specifically because I thought about something completely different. I took some notes here. When the subject was adaptability, like we saw there was no room for adaptation because there was, like Claudia said, it was like a recipe. If you skip one stage, it gets all, you know, messed up. But then again, Claudia pointed something out that I didn't see before, like it could be adapted like from beginning to end because it was so easy. So you looked at it from a completely different perspective. So I just saw no room for adaptation. And you saw, oh my God, this is so easy, so unchallenging. Everything could be adapted. So this really puzzles me because then I don't know where I stand. Sorry, I need some light at the end of the tunnel because now I have doubts. I don't know where I stand, you know? But I guess that's the point. It's good food for thought, you know? And if I take my questions to sleep, if I take my doubts to sleep, I guess the answer will come. But congratulations. It was really brilliant to watch you rediscussing everything.
Thank you, groups. A big hand of applause for all of you. Well done. And it's a met. The task is met.
Yay.
Yes.
Clearly. I'm sorry, but Rabia sent me a message. Clearly a met, not even a maybe. It's
Thank you for the clearly.
You know, the main outcome and the objective of this task is to encourage discussion and to encourage, you know, to stimulate the thinking process, so that you start thinking in those lines, and when you go back and prepare for your own workshops or your lessons or you adapt materials, you actually, you know, do things practically. And I could see that we could see that you've already started doing that here. So it's met. It has to be a met. Just a couple of points that I just add in for support. And often when we discuss things in a group, one of the group members will have a very different point of view from the others, but that simply does not mean that it's wrong. That might be the correct one, you know. So just be a little politely be a bit assertive, but be very polite with it, and, you know, talk around it and make sure that others, you know, you come to a consensus. Because if you leave things hanging in between, or if we just agree to others' viewpoint, we might agree to something that's not correct or that isn't that effective. So let's just, you know, the best way is to, you know, talk about it, talk around it, and make sure that, you know, we come to a consensus. Another thing, let's be a bit softer with the words. I understand where you were coming from, Claudia, but we might not use the word terrible or something. Let's be as developmental and supportive as possible. And, you know, we did an assessment the week before this one that was in feedback comments. So I'm sorry, but I'm not pointing you out. I'm just, you know, saying it for everyone here. So whenever we make comments or we give suggestions or we give feedback, let's try to do it in a way that, you know, it's indirect and it's supportive. For example, Andre, right, you know, at the very moment he rephrased it saying he wasn't very successful, you know. So that's just another way of saying it. And no offense, nothing. I'm just, you know, putting it out as a rule, because we'll be doing this a lot. Next week after the mid-course break, we'll be giving each other feedback, and we'll have to be very, you know, we'll have to bring our sandwiches along, you know.
I think, Rabia, sometimes what's tricky, I mean, it happens to me as well, is that one thing is giving feedback to a real person, another thing is giving feedback to a paper. To a paper, you think it's terrible. To a person, I know, Claudia, you wouldn't say that to the actual person. No, of course not. But it's good practice, as Rabia says. Imagine that there's a person there. But yes, I agree. It is tricky, I have to admit.
Thank you for rephrasing it in a better way, Mao.
No
so she gave you the feedback in a better way as compared to me. Thank you for doing that. And this is another example, you know. So she was a bit less direct, and this is just, you know, not pinpointing anyone out, but just, you know, for us to learn, because we'll be giving each other feedback again. And often this happens in online trainings, you know, because we're not, you know, facing the person or something. So we feel like, you know, the person's not there, but everyone's there, you know. So just a few words of, you know, feedback and support. But thank you very much for all your contributions. Let's move on to the individual task, and then we have one minor thing to discuss, one more thing to discuss, and then we'll be off for the day. Thank you for staying up so late for us.
And you waking up early for us.
I can get some food, you know, and that's always a plus point. Okay, so this is task B. Please make sure that you add all notes to the group task. Please do that. Thank you. When you submit, you have your notes in all the relevant sections in the stages, including the questions. So for all 5 stages, you have some notes there. For the individual assessment, it's a summative task, as you can see, and we just have to, you know, work on smart learning outcomes. By the way, what are smart learning outcomes? Can anyone help us with this?
Feel free to
Any
unmute.
idea?
Feel free to unmute. The S, what does the S stand for?
It's
Specific.
specific.
Good. The M,
Measurable,
Measurable.
A,
achievable,
R,
relevant,
realistic,
Realistic.
Realistic.
realistic,
and T,
timetable.
Time
Time
bound,
bound?
right?
Time bound.
bound.
Yes,
Time
time
bound.
bound.
It's basically here part of the assessment criteria. So we have, 4 learning outcomes. 2 of the learning outcomes are smart and 2 are not. So you have to identify the ones which are not smart and then make them smarter maybe. So these are the learning outcomes. This is the task, that's it for this week. 4 learning outcomes, 2 learning outcomes are smart and 2 were not. So you have to change these accordingly. If you have any confusion with the terms or specific, measurable, achievable, these, please feel free to ask now if you need any support with that. And if questions come up when you're working, feel free to send us an email.
Definitely.
May I?
Yes,
I have.
yes, yes, please.
We have any word count? No, for assessment.
Let me check.
I don't think so.
No, we don't have a word.
I can't see.
No,
This
it's
is
No, we don't have a word count. No. But keep in mind they have to be smart. So something very specific, concise.
But-
not 300
Obviously,
words.
it's a learning outcome. It's one learning outcome. That's it. So feel free to send us emails to send a message, in the WhatsApp group if you need support with this one. But that's it for this week's task. And quickly, we'll move on to another bit that I wanted to share with you all. I'll share my screen again. Let me see. There you go. I'm sorry, it's taking time. There you go. So we asked you to evaluate materials this time, workshop materials. You did this in the forum task, and you'll actually be adapting these materials for your own micro training session in week 8. So week 7 would be the mid-course break, and then week 8 will come back with workshop 6. So you'll be using those materials, the ones that you evaluated. So it's up to you. Okay, this was just the practice. Forum was just the practice. We require you to work in pairs. So 2, 2, and 2. You'll be working that way. And each pair will have 20 minutes to micro training activity. So 20 minutes for micro training and 10 minutes for feedback and Q&A and reflection. So a total of 30 minutes each pair. When we come back after the mid-course break. I'm just telling all of this to you beforehand so that you have some time to go through stuff, to plan, or maybe to discuss. If you want to take a week off, it's up to you. Come back and then do everything. But just a heads up, So you can, work with the same partner and use the same materials. It's okay. Or if you think you want to change your partner and pick something else, that's perfectly fine. But when you come back for week 8, just let us know that this is what you've decided. And our weekly group meeting would be on the usual time, Friday, 9 p.m. Brazil. And we'll have our micro training sessions then during the group meeting. So that is what it would be all about. However, because it'll take time, 30 minutes for each pair, plus we'll also be, collaborating with another cohort. So cohort 3, I guess. So there'll be 4 moderators and 12 participants in total. That would take time. The meeting would go on for like 2 to 3 hours, or maybe 4 hours maximum. So I just have a suggestion. Maybe we could start a bit earlier, 6 or 7 p.m. But if that works for you, maybe we can start around 6 or 7, so that we finish by 10 or 11, because it will take time. And the other 2 moderators will be assessing you and will be assessing their CPs. the micro training activity. That's how things are supposed to work out. Any questions? Okay. Don't worry, if you have questions relating to this, you can sleep over it. Take your time, relax, and we'll discuss this again when you come back.
Okay,
I'm so sorry.
Rabia, I have just one question. So we're supposed to choose if we want to work together. I mean, same group, same pair, and then we can keep the same material if we want. And then we will have 20 minutes to talk, 10 minutes for feedback. Is that?
Yes, exactly.
And it's gonna be after the break.
Exactly.
Okay.
Assessment 2.4 is this. So if you want to have a look at it in detail, download assessment 2.4 and go through it.
Nice,
Get into
nice. So
assessment 4.
nice. So when do we have to tell you that we have to, we want to stay the same pair, or
When you come back from the mid-course break.
so after the break? Okay, cool.
And don't
Cool.
worry, I think this assessment 2.4 is done in 2 weeks. So first week is for preparation, for adaptation, for rehearsal, and the second week is for the delivery. So you'll have time, don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
Don't panic yet. That's the key part.
Panic
We have
later
time to
on after
panic.
the mid-course break. Yeah. Enjoy the break and then panic afterwards. Okay, thank you, everyone. I think it's been approximately 2 hours. I think I need some food now. What about you guys? You're gonna hit the bed, I guess.
But I'm gonna eat
Yeah.
before. I need to eat because I'm hungry.
Rabia, one point about the poll. You are going to send us after, no?
Later in the week, because there was a lot going on. I wanted to send it before that, but I realized that you're already collaborating and working on so many things at the same time, and even a group meeting, we've moved it to Wednesday this week. So let's just stop and relax and take a breath, and maybe I can set up the poll later on in the week. Don't worry. So
Thank
just
you.
part of the firm task. I'll do it there.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. See you.
Bye, everyone. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See
I
you.
have